Welcome back this morning, and let's start with the daily graphic. It says we will restore hope. Akufo-Addo promises as he launches manifesto. The photograph of the presidential nominee of the NPP clutching the 2016 manifesto of the party here on the front page. And also on the front page, government will strengthen social structures. That's according to President Mahama. And IMF hopeful Ghana will return to economic stability. The finder says NPP new economic direction, shift from taxation to production. A smiling photo of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo there. Also on the finder, pay filing fees today. We're told EC is asking aspirant 12 midday is the deadline. And NDC will fall like Goliath. That's according to the NPP. The Business Day says IMF offers zero interest loan to countries. The Daily Statesman, our program will restore hope. Akufo-Addo assures Ghanaians at NPP manifesto launch. And also on the Daily Statesman, Kufuor NPP team, or NPP has a team to deliver. Former President Kufuor sipping Calipo there. And the Punch, chop at GBC, workers pray to Omani Boama, come and chase those. That's what the Punch is saying. The General Telegraph says Mahama confident of landslide victory, says even God can testify to his good works. And that story from EC, candidate asked to pay filing fees by 12 noon here. The Ghanaian Observer, Mahama will fall December 7. That's according to Akufo-Addo and NPP ready to take over Kufuor. And Baumia lambast Mahama over Moody's. Stop embarrassing yourself. The Daily Guide says NPP mega show, it's David versus Goliath. A story of the manifesto launch here. And a smell and next victory. That's according to President Kufuor. The Ghanaian Times has the story from the University of Ghana campus over the weekend. Students exchange fire at Legon matriculation. And manifesto is a social contract, says Akufo-Addo, as policy is outdoored and no security agency can help a party to win. Sure, it's an election. Madam Charlotte says, photograph here. My guest this morning to help me do the talking is the Member of Parliament for the Bimbilla constituency, minority leader in Parliament, Honorable Dominic Gitu. Good morning.
Good morning.
And hope you're doing good.
I'm well. I don't want to call it my boss's position.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yes, but
sorry.
I'm doing good. Good
Great.
morning to your
Great.
cherished listeners.
Good morning
It's a great day.
Oh, great day. I'm sure after the launch. Deputy Minority Leader, that's it. I'm grateful. Now, let's start with what happened yesterday. For the Calipo, I guess we know so much about the Calipo now. The party's manifesto spoke so much. I wanted to start the conversation from here. In 2012, the focus or the key thing was on education. The focus is shifted to job creation. Now, can we see the movement from the focus on education to job creation?
Thank you very much. It's not as if MPP has shifted its focus from education to job creation, really. Education is still as high as anything on our agenda when it comes to the manifesto.
Right.
But if we ask any Ghanaian today, what is the single most important thing on his mind, you tell you, there are no jobs, and they want jobs for the young people because it's a time bomb. If you don't have jobs for the young people, it's really a time bomb. That's what has created all the problems across the world, the Arab countries across the world. You don't want that kind of thing. It's a potential security situation. That's what we're facing. You are churning out thousands of young people, graduates, non-graduates onto the job market. They have no jobs. Government simply has failed to plan for them. We have no plan to absorb them. The private sector is strangled, and so they cannot employ many people. The electricity has killed off a lot of factories and a lot of industries, and so they are not able, what I mean by electricity, doing so.
Right.
And even with the seeming stability that we are enjoying because of elections periods, which may not happen after elections, the pricing is just too much. If you compare us to Ivory Coast, we are charging close to 90 cents per kilowatt hour. Ivory Coast is 9 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, even what we take from Ivory Coast for 9 cents, we sell to our people at 15 cents per kilowatt hour. I'm talking of dollar terms. And so It's a big problem. So the biggest problem Ghana is facing today is job creation. So any manifesto today that is planning for the next 4 or 5 years must be looking at job creation as the number one target. And that's why clearly the NPP is hinging its manifesto not just on economic performance and stability and changing the outlook of our economy vis-a-vis restoring macroeconomic stability, which is very key. If you go to our manifesto, the first point on the economic performance is to restore the macroeconomic stability. You can't achieve anything than do that. The second point is to move away from taxation, which clearly we can see this finance minister pushing and this government pushing to what we call production. You cannot keep taxing people when they cannot pay, when people are not producing. So you keep taxing the same people and keep bringing new taxes and keep increasing taxes. You're just collapsing your economy. It will come a time that you collect less with more taxes. But if you are ingenious and you focus more on production, what you do in the economy is that you're going to expand the tax base. You are going to ensure that you tax less but get more. And so you expand your economy. That's what the NPP essentially did between 2001 and 2008. That's what we are going to do.
So just before you move on, this is the second one on taxation. You're not saying that you're just reducing or taking some of the taxes off, but the amount of or the number of taxes that you do will increase production, and so from there you get more revenue. That's what you're saying.
We are quickly saying that some of the taxes that we have today are simply unnecessary. They don't need to be there. I'll give you an example. When you have corporate tax of 25%, and the whole of West Africa region, that's the range that they have. A smart country, a smart manager of the economy, what you do is to reduce the corporate taxes to attract more people. Once you stabilize the CD, once you stabilize the electricity, and you reduce corporate taxes, you are going to attract a lot of industries into your country. Because look, trust me, we have become a global village. So West Africa has become more like a country, or Africa has become more like a country. That's the first thing we're going to do. Reduce corporate taxes from the 20%, 25% to the 20% by first stabilizing the electricity thing,
right,
making sure that our prices are competitive, making sure that the economy is stable. And when we do that, we're attracting a lot of big-time businesses. That's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing is to ensure that, look, why do you keep putting import taxes on raw materials that you need for your industries? You are just collapsing the industry. Because look, there is no businessman out there who have a factory, and when you put it there, he'll pass it on to the consumer. So the final consumer is the one who will pay. So you take out all those things that you are there.
You take the taxes on raw materials.
On raw materials,
so everything can come into the country.
For that, let it come into the country. Raw materials for production, but rather target the end product. That's what is useful. 2, we are also abolishing the special levies.
Hold on with the levies. So your critics have said that, well, you want to remove these taxes. Meanwhile, you're talking about the fact that you're going to establish industries in every district. Now, the things that you're going to bring in that are not taxable and that will come in free will come to compete with these products from these factories that you intend to build. So they have said that perhaps it is not a good thing after all.
No, people are misunderstanding what. If people know, we say we are taking out
imports taxes
on raw materials for production. We didn't say we are stopping import duties on finished products. We said we are taking out import duties on raw materials for production.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to
your factories will do production too.
Of course.
So the goods that will come out will face competition.
But you cannot get all the goods, all the raw materials that you need, maybe in Ghana. So every factory will enjoy that system where you are competitive, where anything that's going to help you produce for the Ghanaian market, for the ECOWAS market, you take out that and you ensure that at the end of the day, your factories and your companies are competitive to lift them. Because trust me, production is not just dependent on raw materials. It's just a bit of it. You have energy, which is a key aspect of it. So we are saying that don't already overburden your industries and make them uncompetitive. That's
with
why
taxes.
With taxes, and that's why they are dying. When you do that, they don't produce. And if they don't produce, the taxes you are looking for, you don't get. So that's a smart business move. That's a smart way of managing the economy.
All right.
It's not about finished products. If this phone, for example, is going manufactured in Ghana, if you bring in a phone that is already a finished product, we are going to tax it.
But if I'm bringing raw materials to manufacture the same phone,
why do you have to tax that man?
It won't.
Tax the finished product.
It won't face an unfair competition.
No, it will be unfair for you to tax the
finished product,
that raw material.
Okay,
it's wrong. When you do that, you are killing the industry. You are putting 17.5% on it even before the person starts the production. Meanwhile, at the same time, he's also facing serious problems with his production because of these high electricity prices, and secondly, also because power is erratic. Even when it is there, it is very high. So it's difficult for the companies to produce. Let's be factual to ourselves. The companies are collapsing because of these things. So as a country, we must take the hard decision to do some things right. Look, why do you continue to tax financial services? For example,
17.5%.
It's just unheard. We told the finance minister it will collapse your financial industry, it will collapse the banks, it will collapse them. Take it off, tax their profit. That's what the smart businessman will do. Tax their profit. They make huge profit. Tax their profit. You make more money. If you do that, people they'll transfer it to the customers, and you are going to have problems. Real estate, for example, we have 1.7 million housing deficits all over. That's what we say, and which is the truth. Then you will tax the real estate 17.5% VAT. It's unheard of. You abolish it. Then housing distance will come down a bit, because look, all the raw materials that our people bring in for the roof to manufacture tiles, you don't want to encourage people to bring in finished products, so you tax that one. You want people to manufacture here. So I know that if I'm going to manufacture tiles for the real estate, for example, and I bring in raw materials, they're not going to tax me. So I would rather prefer to manufacture it in Ghana than to bring raw products that will be taxed. So it's a simple business thing.
Okay.
That is there.
Okay.
So
all right.
At the same time, the 17.5% is not there for the real estate. So what happens is that you are going to get more houses being produced, especially if you are stable electricity, for them to produce the bricks, for them to produce the raw materials, for them to produce the wires, for them to produce the tiles, for them to produce this. You're going to have a lot more people building houses at cheaper prices for people to be able to stay in low-score houses. And then you have a plan to have housing, diversify Accra. This my friend, for example, his constituency, you diversify Accra. Make sure that more people go to such areas, okay? Then you move people out of the city center. Like every other good country, you plan towards, for example, into the eastern region, towards Akosombo area.
So you're talking about the Saglemi housing project and the likes.
Huge plots of land.
Okay.
You move either with the private sector of government support or with individuals. You're going to do this, and then as a country, you begin to move and stabilize your economy. That's the way to go.
Okay, Dominic, you hold on. At least we have discussed two issues of the manifesto: restoring the macro economic stability, and then the reduction of taxes. Because let me introduce my other guest. Sam George is the aspiring NDC candidate for the Ningo Prampram constituency. George, good morning.
Good morning.
And hope great.
By God's grace.
And thanks so much for joining us. Let me quickly get you in. Honorable Dominic Nitiwul has been talking about the NPP manifesto and the key ingredients, and one of which is the fact that the party says it will restore macroeconomic stability, and for them, reducing taxes is a key way to grow an economy and get it more open. Now, for you, that's the focus of the NPP manifesto. How would you react to it?
Let me say a very good morning to our viewers, yourself and my senior brother, Honorable Dominic Nitiwul. I'm wondering which of the manifestos I'm supposed to be speaking to.
The NPP manifesto, which was launched yesterday.
The plagiarized one of the APC?
No. I know of the NPP manifesto launched yesterday.
I had seen the we'd seen copies of the APC manifesto, and yesterday I haven't gotten a hard copy of the NPP's manifesto yet.
Okay.
I'll take Honorable.
I'm sure
Nitiwo's
Honorable
one. Yeah, I'll take his
to
whilst I'm going. But I listened to it yesterday, and it was just verbatim. I mean, a replication. And I'm afraid for them that maybe Honorable Ayariga and his party may be proceeding to court this morning for plagiarism, with charges of plagiarism against the NPP. So, well, let me speak to the APC's manifesto, which has metamorphosed into
No,
the
George,
NPP's,
I will not allow that.
Which is
No,
metamorphosed into the
George, I will
NPP's.
not allow that. We are speaking to the NPP manifesto launched yesterday.
Very well.
Okay, go ahead.
Very well. The NPP has a track record. It's a track record by which, not just the NPP, every political party that is seeking to lead this country, we have our track records. And the value of whatever it is that we are promising the people in our social contracts in this election cycle, via our manifestos, are going to be judged on the basis of our track record, our performance, and especially in this fourth Republican dispensation. And I'm surprised that the NPP would want to be promising some of the things they're promising. Some of the things they're promising are rehashes from the 2000 and 2004 manifestos.
But you have done the same. You said your 26 manifesto is just a build-up of 2012, so?
When you say it's a build-up, it's not a rehash. There's a difference between a rehash and a
Sure.
build-up. Yes, a build-up means that, and if you take our manifesto, we let you see what we promised in 2012 and what we've delivered, and what we will do post-2016. Okay, so that is a progressive approach to nation building and development. What they are doing is recycling promises from 2000. I can give you at least 81 promises.
Just give me two of them.
Okay, I'll give them to you. Just a minute, and I want to read them verbatim so that I'm not taking. It's not said that I created them. On page 25 of their 2004 manifesto.
2004
manifesto of the NPP. On page 25, they gave a typical example and said the national airline is being restructured and repositioned with private participation to restore it to its past enviable position as the more efficient, reliable, and scheduled regional and intercontinental operator in the West African sub-region. We saw what happened when they came into office, and I'm talking about track records here. We saw what happened when they came into office. I can give you further examples where they, and I'll just give you another example that touches on what Honorable Dominic Nitiwool ended on, which is on page 34 of their 2004 manifesto. He said, in the country's urban areas, comprising of 8.4 million residents, only about 61% of the population have access to satisfactory water supplies. For the next 5 years, government will extend water to about 1 million additional people under the urban water project. Never happened. And if you go on and on, I can give you repeated examples where they even spoke about the Nima enclave itself, and said that they were going to transform them and build vertical, according to the phrase they used was vertical buildings, okay, meaning high-rise skyscrapers. We're going to replace the slums in the Nima area. It was specifically mentioned in their manifesto. We saw that they didn't even construct drains.
So these have been rehashed in 2016 manifesto?
No, I spoke about the rehash, and I spoke about the fact that you look at the track record of the people.
Okay.
And so when they make promises, in Akan, there's the proverb that so you want to look at what the NPP has done in the past when we give them the opportunity, and then you want to place a certain level of value on what they are promising us now. When they talk about macroeconomic indicators and stability, look, like Dr. Baumia himself says, you can't govern a country with propaganda. Okay, and so what they've basically tried to do is promise something that they cannot achieve, something that they cannot deliver. I'll give you a typical example. He speaks about the housing, and the sad fact here is that most of the things they are promising, you wonder whether they're missing or they're not living in this country. And Honorable Nitiwool is in Parliament, and so he knows some of these things better than maybe the flag bearer, because many of these things come through Parliament. When they talk about eradicating taxes on raw materials, Honorable Nitiwool is aware. He was in Parliament on the day when we presented a bill that was passed by Parliament that abolished the duties, or abolished import duties on printing materials to make our printing sector highly competitive. And so the Ghanaian printing houses today, under the NPP's administration, when they printed textbooks and exercise books, they printed them in Malaysia and Singapore. We've printed 100 million exercise books. We've printed over 20 million textbooks, all locally here in Ghana. It's competitive for the Ghanaian printer. He doesn't have to go to China or Singapore or Malaysia, as had happened another time. Why? Because we've already abolished the taxes. Honorable Nitiwool is aware of it. And so when you know that the NDC administration of President Mahama has done something already, and you come back and promise the Ghanaian people that you will do that, you're being either very dishonest or you're being untrue with or unreal with the facts.
He mentioned raw materials, taxes on raw materials as one that they will abolish too.
Well, like I gave you, the printing press is raw materials. There's raw materials that they import. I'll give you another example. Pharmaceuticals have had raw materials taxes abolished, and we've actually not just abolished it, we've put government capital in them. 50 million Ghana cedis was given to 3 flagship Ghanaian pharmaceutical companies. Danex Pharmaceutical, that is one of the leading antiretroviral drug manufacturers on the African continent, so that our brothers and sisters living with the HIV virus are able to get the antiretrovirals, the ARVs that they need, without us having to bring them in from India. We've been able to give them, government gave them money. Government has taken off taxes on the raw materials that they use, give them money to expand their production. Ernest Chemist also received money from government as part of that 50 million Ghana cedi package that government gave to these 3 companies to help expand their ongoing. They have a factory that they were building to help produce medication. Tobinco Pharmaceuticals also received such incentives, and so when they are promising something that government is already doing and going even beyond just taking off the taxes, but also injecting government capital into private enterprise to ensure that the Ghanaian business is robust, you ask yourself what the question is, what they're talking about. Again, when he talks about, he gave the example of building houses. He may not be aware, but hopefully before the end of this year, in the Western region, we're going to finish a ceramic factory that is going to be able to provide enough tiling material for the Ghanaian housing industry under President Mahama. So when he's talking of a promise, we've already brought in private capital that is almost complete. The work's about 95% complete of a ceramic factory in the Western region. You already have the likes of the companies that produce the cables, tropical cables and the likes of them. And what government has already done through the Free Zones initiative, and is that when they produce for export, it is captured under the Free Zones enclave. And so even though it's a Ghanaian company, when they produce, and all they need to do is to be able to export a portion of their product into the West African sub-region. Once they're able to get that market, what happens is they are exempt from taxes. They get the same benefits that foreign companies that come in under the Free Zone scheme get. So you realize that we are already working assiduously to support the Ghanaian business. We're looking at exploring clinker, to use clinker for cement, for building, instead of the regular cement, which is more expensive. And so when he talks about taking off taxes on raw materials, government is already focused on doing that. We're doing it. It's not a promise that someone is making to happen in 2017.
So in effect, you're not overtaxing the people, because they think that there's too much taxation, and when you do that, it affects the economy.
You see, when the NPP talks about taxation, I think that Ghanaians must be very careful and wary of them. In 2000, in fact, lead up to the 2000 election, Honorable Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo led the Kumipreko demonstrations. You remember? The Kumipreko demonstrations were a fight against the introduction of VAT. You remember? 3 Ghanaians lost their lives in those demonstrations. Yet when the NPP came into office, what did they do? They increased VAT by 5%. 5%. And so when they tell you today that they're coming in to reduce taxes, their track record is that they said we should not have VAT. In fact, based on their demonstration, VAT was delayed. The introduction of VAT was delayed by the Rawlings administration for close to 2 years. They walked out of parliament several times. They led demonstrations. They went beyond just saying it in the manifesto. They led demonstrations that led to the shedding of Ghanaian blood, loss of Ghanaian life. Yet when they came into office, what did they do? They spat on the graves of the 3 young men who lost their lives, joining them to fight in the Kumipreko demonstration. They threw their integrity to the dogs when they made a big U-turn and did not even come and abolish what was there, but came and increased it. And so when today, and that's why I spoke about the track records of the parties.
Okay, wrap up for me. Let me go to...
We will need to know the value of what it is that they promise us. Are they men of their word?
So your point is that they talk about reducing taxes, the electorate should not listen.
Oh, I mean, it's just a Trojan horse that they are offering the Ghanaian people.
I see.
But it is not real. deep down in their hearts, they know they will not be able to do it. Look, where our economy is today, they should be true with themselves and know that the government has taken a lot of taxes off.
I see.
Look, when they came into office, and the most important tax to the ordinary man watching us, especially the public or civil servant, is personal income tax. What we have done progressively is to raise the threshold so that those who are in the lowest brackets of earnings, who earn daily minimum wages, do not pay those income tax. They're exempt from them. But you know, when the NPP came in 2000, you know what they did? They lowered the threshold. They didn't raise it. They lowered the threshold to be able to capture even the list of the list, those who earned even below minimum wage. That is their track record. And that's why I'm saying that when we make promises as political parties via our manifesto, Ghanaians must know who and what our track record is.
I'm grateful, George, for
Thank
time. Honorable Nitu, so the holes that he's trying to punch into some of the promises you made, are they holes that we should agree accept?
I think that if there is any political party that promises and don't deliver, is the NDC. Where is the one-time premium? Or he wants me to continue? The NDC walked out of Parliament when we're doing
working on the bill.
On the bill to do what we call the National Health Insurance. They walked out of Parliament. The NDC. That is the NDC for you. When the NDC said they were putting in $200 million into SADA, 200 million Ghana cedi into SADA, and that every year they will raise 100 million for the next 5 years and do a donor conference to raise the equivalent of close to 1 billion Ghana cedi. Where is that money to SADA? The last two budgets, you didn't even mention SADA in the budget. So when they're talking of political parties that don't deliver on their promises, it's the NDC. President Kufuor, the NDC ran that. NDC thinks that it is just about President Mills and President Mahama that came to power. No, not at all. President Rawlings led us for 8 years. They have led us for another 8 years. The NDC has been in power since 92 for 16 years. NPP for 8 years. We're not going to judge the NPP and the NDC based on only Mills and Mahama. We're judging the NDC party. You don't deliver on your promises. So I'm surprised that he sits here to think that the NPP doesn't. It is them that do not deliver on their promises.
But for you do.
I just mentioned
your track record and says that.
I'm just mentioning two things. Two, NPP never went on Kumopreko demonstrations to say they don't want VAT. They said that your 17.5% you were introducing at that time was going to kill the Ghanaian economy. You brought it down to 12.5%. Did they go on demonstration again after you brought it to 12.5%? No.
But when you
I'm surprised that he's trying to tell obvious untruths. Go and find out. Excuse me. Go and find out from every Ghanaian. The NPP did not say do not introduce VAT.
Okay.
They said the 17.5% that you were bringing was going to kill the Ghanaian economy.
So it was brought down to
down the line. You have done the same thing. We're in Parliament. I was in Parliament last year. We fought against that VAT you were introducing on fuel to raise VAT again to 17.5%. The same thing you wanted to do, you have done the same thing. What the NPP did is what they are trying to collapse. It was on a levy on health insurance. Is he saying that that is not good? And then, of course, we activated the Get Fund. Is he saying that that is not good for the people of Ghana? So when you talk about us increasing VAT, then maybe you simply have not quantified what it is.
Did you?
It was 12.5.
Can I? I was very quiet.
No, yes.
I was very quiet.
Dominic, it was 12.5 when you came into power.
Yeah,
right.
I know, but I'm just giving you what it was meant for.
All right.
Unless somebody wants to tell me, what it is not good. Two, it is never a fact for anybody to sit here and say NPP does not keep their promises. I've already stated it. That I want to start listing the promises that NDC said they were going to do and they never did, we will not live here. And that's why I don't do those things. Okay, that's why I don't do those things. Thirdly, President Kufuor met a HIPIC economy in 2000 with a GDP of about $3 billion, the equivalent of $3 billion. When we're leaving power, the GDP at that time in the old system was about $16 billion. From $3 billion to $16 billion.
That's at 2008.
2008. With a GDP of about 8.7 that has been rebased to about 9.1% without oil. And so when we say that we are going to restore the microeconomic stability, we have done it before and we will do it again. The people of Ghana know we did it before. You led us into HIPIC. You had borrowed so much. NDC had borrowed so much between 1992 and 2000 to the extent that we couldn't pay our debts. Our debt to GDP ratio was close to 160%. We owed so much that we couldn't even master to pay our debts. And so we had to declare ourselves as a highly indebted poor country.
So
I am coming.
I don't want us to.
I am coming.
Yes. In 2016, yes.
In 2016, we're back to 2016.
Yes.
The equivalent of what NPP got in all these years was 20 billion Ghana cedi. Today, these guys have had 248 billion Ghana cedi equivalent. Resource-wise. We are back to a highly indebted country. It's clear.
Sure.
It is clear that
okay.
The IMF has said it, the World Bank has said it.
Oh, the IMF has a story this morning that
I'm coming to that. I'll come to that when we come to that.
Okay.
So it's very clear that Sam George is setting his own questions and marking, but that is not the reality the Ghana people are seeing. The reality the people of Ghana are seeing is that they don't have jobs, and that's what a manifesto is looking at, and that is what I am addressing my issue as. How do you create jobs?
Right.
Manifesto.
Let's go there.
I'm coming. A manifesto, of course, we have already stated a manifesto that is looking at how to create jobs, and we have said that we are going to first pursue an aggressive industrialization and value addition to agricultural products. Okay. That's the first thing we want to do. The second thing we want to do is providing tax-related incentives for manufacturing businesses in such sectors as agro-processing, light industry, pharmaceuticals, like you said, which they have done that, a little bit of that portion. And I'm not saying that you didn't do anything. I'm saying what you have done is not enough. And when we say that we are taking out import duties on raw materials for production, we are not just talking about two industries. You have talked about two. We're talking about all. That's what we are talking about. If you are touting just the two that you have done and is successful, and somebody is saying that we're going to do all, and you have a problem with that,
every raw material.
I mean, I don't know what you are talking about. And of course, petrochemical industries that we're going to provide tax and related incentives for that. We're also going to look at providing reliable and cost-effective mix of energy supply for businesses. That's what we are doing for job creation. Pursuing policies that will reduce interest rates. Today, interest rate is above 30%. It's unheard of. And that is the levels that they left us. They left us with 40-something%. We brought it down. And they are increasing it back to those levels of 2000. We're also saying that we are providing the necessary incentives for private sector participation in the health delivery. So there are certain things that we want to do to give our people jobs. These are some of the things I have listed. That's what is important to the people of Ghana. Two, because they know that NPP and NDC all have things in their manifesto they have not been able to do. Both parties. The two parties are the two that we both have that we're not able to do. That's why I mentioned just the 2 or 3 to him. 3, the people of Ghana are looking at an individual that will come and make sure that the standard of living is improved. School fees at the nurses training college is over 3,000 Ghana cedi today. My ordinary poor farmer in the village, where's going to get that kind of resources? When you have taken the allowances, we are saying we will restore you in full.
All the allowances.
All the allowances in full, both to the teacher training college and to the nurses training college. That's what is important to the people of Ghana and to the people who are listening to us. Not juggling between who has not performed, who has not fulfilled his promises, or who has fulfilled his promises.
Your opponents,
you have the same.
Your opponents,
you have done worse than us.
Honorable Dominic, your opponents have said that one of your documents they cited in 2028 talks about you scrapping this same allowance that you're promising to restore today. That's what they've been saying.
And that's what the NDC say. We are saying that in our manifesto.
There was no document like that?
Can I tell you something? In our manifesto today, the situation we'll find ourselves in Ghana today, the sort of economy we'll find ourselves today, it's totally different from 2008. We had built ourselves from the HIPIC economy. I'm just giving you an example. We have built ourselves from a HIPIC economy to a middle-level income. We're receiving oil. The way we wanted to use it is totally different from the mismanagement and incompetence that we find today. Today, you have all these gargantuan resources, 248 million. You've messed the economy up. Today, the average Ghanaian is poorer than before. is in huge debt than before. And most of it is shouldered on incoming government, not even them. Today, interest payments is the second largest item on our budget. That's not the sort of economy NPP was going to run. So the NPP was going to run an economy that would be beneficial to everybody, not saddle the people of Ghana with huge debts. And so our way of operating was totally going to be different. And we're saying that today in our economy, we have a social contract with the people of Ghana. And our social contract is that, one, we give free Wi-Fi to the students. Two, we are going to abolish the system where students are asked to pay utility bills immediately.
Public universities?
Yes, public universities. Immediately. We are going to do that. We will not allow that to happen. We are also going to ensure that teachers and nurses' allowance are paid in full to them immediately. We are not going to give excuses.
And your flag also said that immediately electricity bills will be reduced.
I'm saying that it is important that we become competitive as a country. And to become competitive, you must make sure that you are competitive with your neighbors. Our neighbors, particularly Ivory Coast, is charging 9 cents per kilowatt hour. We are heading over 15 cents per kilowatt hour. And we are saying that to be competitive and to allow our businessmen to survive and to allow our household to survive, we will do these things immediately. That's what we said. And I'm saying that as a country, we need these policies to save Ghana. This is our manifesto, and that's what we are dealing with. Okay? I have given you examples of what NDC said I will do and have not done.
Right.
NPP said they may do and may not have been able to do within the 8 years. Nobody's giving excuses. But we are saying that these are the things that the NPP will do. How are we going to implement policies that will reduce the cost of doing business in Ghana or stabilizing the city? These are the questions you should be asking me, because these are the things we want to do to create jobs, provide incentives to hospitality and creative industries that will enable us, create a fund for our what we call the creative industry, this performing arts and all that. We're going to create a fund for them to encourage them. Look, we, for example, think that security is a very essential aspect of our manifesto. I was in charge of it. I wrote it with my team. And it's very clear what we want to do. Look, if you ask some judge sitting down here to go and live in certain parts of our barracks for even a day, he will not. Dilapidated structures. Structures that you don't even expect people to live in there. But that's what they have allowed our people to do, our security forces, whether it's the police, whether it's the army. And we are saying that we're going to have what we call a barracks generation program immediately to kick off, to allow our security men who have sacrificed their lives to be able to live in dignity, at least whilst they are in the barracks, whilst employing more police force to reach the UN target of 1:500 citizens. That is talking about creating another 20,000 jobs within the police force. We are saying that, look, you have a military hospital in Accra, 37. The government is putting up one in Kumasi. Government is continuing. We are going to put up one in the north, precisely in Tamale. So that at least those men who are in the forces, the military, when there is a problem, they have a good modern hospital in Tamale to take care of them. Look, the police, for example.
Wrap up from
I'm just giving you under security. For example, we are going to put up a hospital in Boga, another hospital in Sunyani, standard police hospitals. Because there's already one in Accra. There's one that's been put up in Kumasi. That's the middle zone. We want to put up one in Sunyani and this, because you are envisaging increased number of police force, because you want to fight crime. So police visibility will be everywhere. The police will be living within the citizens, like the British style, to ensure that we are all in tune with what is happening. So some judge should take our manifesto and read it properly. It will happen. But if you want to run with this old style of politics that we are comparing NDC to NPP, I can give you 150 unfulfilled promises of the NDC. That doesn't help us as a country.
I am grateful.
Let's just look forward. It will enable us. NDC has their manifesto. NPP have our manifesto. We have critiqued the NDC manifesto. We have looked at it. Is it workable? Is it not workable? We have pointed out where it can work. We have pointed out where it cannot work. We have said that we are going to divide this country into 3 zones and allow these zones to work and create jobs by putting the equivalent of $1 million in the constituencies to enable, whilst allowing the common fund to still be there, to enable these constituencies to revive. Because look, I am in my constituency. I know what I'm able to do with the little resources I get. I get 5% of what the disassembly has as an MP. Wow. If you become an MP, which you will not,
I see.
You will have 5% of.
Honorable Dominic, you have the votes of all the voters in Ningopa, Bram. It looks like that's what you.
No,
have.
he will not. He will not. He knows. He knows.
Okay.
He's my friend.
Right.
I've had a discussion. He knows he won't. He knows it.
Okay. All right. Honorable, I'm grateful. Let me get George in. George, so the NPP manifesto talks about aggressive industrialization. They said that to open up the economy, they're talking about aggressive industrialization. He talks about energy, a mixture that he says will enable businesses to really work, electricity bills. In fact, according to him, that would be the focus of opening up the economy.
Well, I'm glad that when Honorable Dominic Nitiwu started playing God, you cut him.
Oh.
Because he started playing God by determining who's going to go to Parliament and who will not.
I'm not God. You know, I will not be God. I will not even play God.
Maybe he's the deputy minority leader, so he holds the key to admission.
I thought you were going to say he was deputy God. Anyway,
okay.
If you go to page 50 of the NDC's Green Book, and if you can zoom in on this, Honorable Dominic Nitiwu speaks about housing for the
security services.
This here is housing that has been built. This right here, up here. This one is housing that has been built for security services with playgrounds.
Is it the one at Cantonment here?
No, that's even this is different from one at Cantonment. This is at Sakumono. Okay, this is 168 apartments. You have the one going on at Cantonment, and this is from the NDC's Green Book. It's there. I mean, anybody. This is phase 1. And Tema security agencies housing, phase 1 and phase 2. Government's commitment to provide decent housing for the security services has been giving meaning to the completion of 168 housing units.
Okay.
So when
it's not Photoshop.
No, it's not Photoshop. I mean, people are watching us from Tema and Takumono, and they can tell us if these buildings exist. And you see, even when I was showing this, you asked me, is it the one in Cantonment? Because we're building another one in Cantonment.
Well, I know the one in Cantonment just across the street here. That's what I know.
You see the quality of housing that is being built for our policemen. We are not saying we've completed it. We're not saying we've given every policeman housing. But then the question I'll always ask Ghanaians is, who would you believe? The man who is already delivering what your dreams and aspirations are. You have tasted him. You know he's delivering. He's working on it. His work in progress. He says change is happening. And the man who is promising you that try me and see asana. Ma try makwe. Can we try you? What do we do? We're stuck with him for 4 years. Look, this whole talk about trying to bring in hospitals and all of that is laughable, because you look at the NPP's track record, and again, I keep saying...
You're going back to the track record.
Yes, you cannot run... No,
Nitiwu is suggesting that perhaps...
Because they have a hollow and porous and pathetic track record, he's running away from our track record. His track record. Listen, a people who do not know their history or do not know where they are coming from cannot have a future. They can't have a destiny. For you to know where you're going, you must know where you're coming from. And so our past is a true reflection or an indicator of where we're going. So anybody who is suggesting that we should forget our past, Honorable Nitiwu makes a point in his submission that the NDC walked out of Parliament when National Health Insurance Bill was laid before Parliament. He wasn't in Parliament on the 12th of April, Wednesday, 12th April 2000. Then he wasn't in Parliament. But on the 12th of April 2000, he's in the Hansard, he can go and check it. Honorable Ado Kufuor, who later on became Minister for Health under the Kufuor administration, when the NDC put before the National Health Insurance Bill for the first time before Parliament, on the 12th of April 2000, said that a national health insurance scheme was a complete waste of the taxpayers' money. And after he made those comments, there was a walkout from Parliament of the minority. On the 12th of April 2000, by then, we had already piloted the National Health Insurance Scheme in 10 districts. The gentleman who was put in charge of it later became the NPP's parliamentary candidate in the 2004 election in Infantiman West. He's still alive. President Rawlings brought him in from Tanzania. His office was on the 6th floor of the Trust Towers of Pension House, the SNIT building, Pension House, where we had put together. Why the NDC walked out when they presented what they presented was because we had a plan for a national health insurance scheme. If you remember, when the NPP introduced the national health insurance scheme, if you were registered in Ablekuma or in AMA, under the AMA Metro, or municipal, Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the AMA, and you had your card from AMA, and you got to Tema, and you fell ill, you could not access the National Health Insurance card with your card. Most Ghanaians will remember this under the NPP. Right. It was when we came to office in 2009, because what they were running was a district mutual scheme. What we wanted was a national health insurance scheme. We are the people who came into office and restructured what they had and made it a national health insurance scheme that allows you can move from Accra to Tamale with your card and still enjoy. So Honorable Nitiwul is registered in his constituency, in Bimbila constituency, but he accesses healthcare in Greater Accra with his national health insurance card, thanks to the NDC. Again, he makes very, very interesting, not just him, I mean, it's his manifesto, his party's manifesto, very vague promises, which, again, if you look at their track record, you can't believe or trust them. He says that, they're going to abolish utility bills on campuses.
Public universities.
Public universities. They were in office for 8 years. We had a smaller number of university students with a smaller bill to pay. They didn't abolish it. Now with a larger bill and more students, they are promising to abolish. What will be the source of funding? They do not tell us.
They have changed their mind about it.
They do not tell us. You made reference to the 2008 document where they stated categorically that they were going to abolish allowances for nurses and teacher trainees. We have not just abolished. What we've done is we've created an opportunity with the Students' Loans Trust Fund, where, like every other university student, our nursing trainees and teacher trainees can access the same facilities, these loan facilities, like every other Ghanaian student. And so it's not that we've left them without an option. There is still a funding option available to nursing trainees and teacher trainees. The NPP is lying, and I'll tell you why
they said they will restore it and also ensure access is opened. That's what
it's absolutely untrue. I'll tell you why. On page 5 of their 2000 manifesto, they said, we will create jobs for all persons. This is their words. All persons able and willing to work, and to reward each of them appropriately. Pursuant to this, they lined up 1 million Ghanaian youth on the streets of Accra at the Labour office and wrote down their names. Whatever happened to that? Nothing.
You're suggesting that the one district, one factory that is expected to reduce unemployment isn't what you think can work?
Nanado was in my constituency about 3 weeks ago. I thought he was going to take the opportunity to tell the people of my district what he was going to do. He came to campaign for the NPP candidate in my constituency. I was hoping that he would be able to tell them what factory will come in there. He rather spend the time denigrating myself and President Mahama. He could not tell them what factory will come there. It's not well thought through. When you challenge spokespersons for the NPP, Anthony Abayi Fakabo said in his place that they were going to put up a dog factory. Pius Enam Hajile says that in his place they'll put up a cat factory. Those are the kinds of jokes that they are running this whole campaign with. Nanado makes a knee-jerk promise of one village, one dam. When we subject him, and Honorable Nitiwul knows that in his constituency, it is impracticable to do a dam in every village. He knows.
How impracticable? In other places.
Relax. Because in not all the villages in his...
They're taking land from the sea. No. So...
You know why it is impracticable? You can
me.
reclaim land from the sea by pumping sand into the sea and building a solid base structure to hold that. But then how then do you create water where there is no water body? And so there are villages in his constituency.
I see.
There are villages in Bimbila constituency where there is no water body. So then how are you going to create a dam? A dam is not a dugout. First and foremost, you had Mustafa Hamid come and try to correct it and say, it's not just going to be dams, it's going to be dugouts. Nanado said a dam. He didn't say a dugout. Now they've restructured, if you look at their manifesto, they've restructured the one village, one dam to one district, one dam. Check.
Is that the case? Is that the case?
You continue. That's what they've done. They've run away from one village now to one district, one dam. Now, Honorable Nitiwul makes a claim which I didn't expect him to make as a member of parliament, because he knows that this country is governed, the smallest units of governance in this country are not constituencies, but districts. And so Nanado is turning our constitution upside down when he suggests, or his flag bearer makes the suggestion, and he repeats in his manifesto, that he's going to give constituencies $1 million. We do not administer this country by constituencies. It is administered through districts. So if you have a policy where you want to inject more capital into the MP's operations. It is to increase the percentage that goes to the district assembly, to the MP, the 5% that goes to the MP, by increasing that, not by trying to turn our 1992 constitution upside down. They have no respect for our constitution.
But if they are in power, they can change the constitution if indeed that is a development to get the money to the constitution.
We'll tell you how easy it is to change the constitution.
It can be done. We wrote it ourselves.
Even to change the date from 7th December to 7th November, you saw what happened. How much more to change our governance structure and now say that you will govern this country by constituencies. Now, I'll give you a typical example of why the NPP cannot be trusted. He speaks about agriculture and says they want to create jobs using agriculture. We have in our manifesto, ETLEP. ETLEP is the Economic Transformation and Livelihood Empowerment Program, which is aimed at creating jobs, consistent jobs for close to 1 million Ghanaian youth, using ICT as
creating or have been created.
Creating. ETLEP is what we're going to roll out from 2017. You understand me? Using ICT, we're going to run on the back of the Tema Industrial Hub that has been built, completed, the ICT park that has been completed, making Ghana a preferred destination for information outsourcing. The BPO, Business Processing Outsourcing Unit, has been completed at Kwame Nkrumah Circle. That alone will provide close to 100,000 jobs, directly and indirectly, because we have a better English accent. Currently, as we speak, are you aware that under this administration, parking tickets that are issued by the New York Police Department are issued from Ghana? It's been outsourced from the New York Police Department to a Ghanaian company. And so when a policeman stops you in traffic in New York and he punches on his machine, the processing that goes on is processed in Accra. The company is sitting in the Pyramid House in Circle. And so we are looking to outsource businesses, because right now many international companies, you call them and you hear an Indian accent because they're rerouting most of their things through the Indian continent. They prefer our accent. We have a better English accent or command of the language. And so those are things we're looking to create here. Why the NPP cannot be trusted? Again, in our manifesto, we talk about expanding YES. YES is a fantastic success story of His Excellency the President, where there are young men and women today who are testimony to the successes of YES. YES was given 10 million every year. The President has said that from 2017, we're going to increase it to 25 million every year. Over the next 4 years, we'll get 100 million. It means that we can get 250% more the success stories that we have gotten from YES Fund today. They talk about agriculture. They have no purpose for agriculture in this country because their track record is evidence of that.
But when you were leaving office, agric was growing better than what you are doing now.
It is comparative. If you decide to look at the real figures, you realize that agric is doing better now, because you realize that right now we've cut down rice importation based with local substitution by $300 million. What they promised in their 2000 manifesto, and I'll just read quickly, on page 17, was that the NPP government will take specific action to raise productivity in food production and to introduce a farmer and fisher folk security trust to cater for them in their time of need and in old age. They failed to do it. We have introduced a pension scheme for fishermen. So it tells you who is delivering and who is not delivering.
Okay.
The last thing I'll end with is when he speaks about oil. Honorable Nitiwo can bear witness that government of Ghana, thanks to the shoddy arrangement that was done by the NPP administration with negotiating our oil wells out, which we are doing a better deal now for Ghana. We got only 13%. Even the 13, it was 10% originally, the whole of Ghana. Ask him how much revenue has come to the government of Ghana from oil. We've gotten close to 3 billion since we started drilling oil. Our revenues, our receipts has been close to 3 billion. Now, ask him how much they got in debt relief. They got in excess of 4 billion.
And they say you're still enjoying the debt relief.
Oh,
in fact, some of HIPIC money is still coming in.
And you know what is interesting? He claims that we've borrowed, and right now, interest payments are the second largest item on our expenditure bill. But then he's the same person who tells you that whatever we are borrowing today is for future generations. What we are paying today are the loans they contracted.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Let me tell you something. The second Euro bond,
John, I'm grateful.
The second Euro bond we took of 1 billion was supposed to refinance the 750 million that they took under the NPP. You took a Euro bond and used to pay salaries and buy rail locomotive engines when we did not have railroads. You promised the people a railroad.
John, I'm grateful. I'm giving another minute to just 45 seconds to wrap up for me. Yes, no, we have no. I'll give you. Honorable, please wrap up for me.
On page 65, and let me read. George, when you want to do propaganda, you don't do propaganda with me or the NPP. On page 45, it is stated.
Not 65, 45.
65 on our manifesto.
Okay. You said 45 right now. That's
65. G. support for the retention of water for irrigation and dry season farming through a policy of one village, one dam.
Okay.
To provide dams.
So it's not one
villages.
district, one dam.
I think that you are manufacturing. I told him before, you manufacture things in his head, and it's turning out. You don't do that on national TV.
In your constituency,
Can I finish?
You have a village, a dam in every village in your constituency?
Please.
The constituents are listening to you. I'm asking
But George, you said it's been changed to one.
We heard them yesterday. That was what was said.
I'm reading it to you. Perhaps it's a mistake, but here
I'm reading it to you. Then the speaker
made a mistake.
And I'm asking that in your constituency.
I don't like that.
I asked the question.
George, you're not answering the question. You are not answering the question.
Be decorous.
George, you're not answering. I am the one answering the question.
Please be decorous.
I beg you.
No. I will not grant that.
Tell him to be decorous.
Okay. Please,
I also want to tell you.
You have a dam in every.
I also want
George.
to tell you that he should just move across to Burkina Faso. What they simply did was that along the main roads, all the communities, they built dams for them. Simple technology. Just across Burkina Faso. That's why he and his government are importing common tomatoes from Ivory Coast. 3. Agriculture.
Your constituency.
Agriculture.
Irrigation
development.
I've not granted you that.
Irrigation development is a key. Extension services is a key. Research is key. Mechanization is key. Commercial and block farming are key. And I can tell you that we don't promise without delivery. Not like President Mahama, who promised the people of northern region, the Gonja land, he create a region for me. He never did it for them.
Okay.
Not like President Mahama, who promised. Wait, not like President Mahama, who promised Sada, and he never did it. Not like President Mahama, who promised the people of jobs, and he never did it.
I'm
not like President Mahama.
I am grateful, gentlemen. I am so grateful.
I don't like interrupting.
Honorable Dominic Nituo, Deputy Minority Leader and a Member of Parliament for the Bimbilla constituency.
Yes, every village.
George.
Your people hold you to question you.
We're going to do it. Every village.
All right. George is with the aspiring NDC candidate for the Ningo Pram constituency. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your time. We've run out of time, but I'm sure this will continue in the course of the week. And so you can drop in your comments and views on our social media platforms and tell us what you think about the manifestos now. The race to December 7th is now on properly, and we'll tell you more. Stay